The James Show Podcast.
Continuing with James Varney from Real Clear Politics. No, not Jim Varney from the movies. It's a different guy. And you should just always go by James to avoid that overlap there. Haven't we had this discussion before?
Yeah, we have. I talked to him once before he died. Very nice guy.
Oh, well, did you write an article about him or?
No, but the movie critic at the paper was doing something on one of his movies, and she had him on the phone and said, hey, we got a Jim Varney here. He was like, oh, let me talk to him. So I did.
Yeah, well, he is funnier than you. I'll give him credit for that. Or was. Now, so, James Varney, let me ask you a question that's just pure speculation. Do you think we will ever see the real Epstein list?
That's a great question, and I think at this point you sort of have to think the answer is going to be no. I mean, there's like three different things going on here with this, right? Like one is you've got these people that still seem to think that Trump must be implicated in some way. There's zero chance of that, because if he was implicated in something like that, the chances that the Biden administration and Biden Justice and Department of and FBI wouldn't have made that public and gone after him is zero. They wouldn't have had to manufacture these flimsy cases out of whole cloth in New York if they had him going to Pedo Island. So that's ridiculous. The second thing is, this is all the Trump administration's fault, right? I mean, they were the ones that kind of said, oh, we're going to release it and this stuff's all going to come out. And you had a number of conservatives thinking that they had so far kept it all under wraps because they were trying to protect prominent liberals or Democrats. So they created this problem. Now, Trump is right that it is a distraction, because the third thing is all these people that are up in arms about this, especially in my profession, did you hear them say anything for the last 5 years or more about this? No. But now you would think that this is the most pressing issue in the United States.
Well, yeah.
So we all a distraction, but it's Trump's fault.
James, I think we all got a good giggle this week when the Democrats twice tried to put through a measure to release the Epstein files. Like, this has got to be done. Well, where were y'all for the last 4 years? Y'all didn't propose this then. Y'all only propose it when you know it's going to get shot down. What kind of performative BS kabuki theater is this?
No, you're 100% correct. It was crickets until now. But I think that Trump has, maybe not himself personally, but the creation of this is the administration's fault. It might be Pam Bondi's fault. I don't know. I know people say that, Pam Bondi doesn't do anything without Trump approving it. I think that Trump could probably have given directives like, make this stuff public, get it out there so that everybody knows, and we will look transparent and we'll look like the good guys. But then he didn't know that, for example, that binders thing that happened, what was that, back in February or March?
Yeah, that's
and then
embarrassing.
Everybody complained that everybody knows this already. So the whole process has been really ham-handed by the Trump administration, and they have given the Democrats a lifeline. Now, part of the reason we see them yelling so loud about it is because they had nothing. They were losing so badly on all the issues of the economy and immigration, and I think most Americans support Israel. So all of those things were breaking in Trump's favor. So they're just delighted to have anything, even if it's something they didn't care about until last week.
Yeah, well, they can't report on the stock market. That's for damn sure. James Varney, Real Clear Politics. Thanks for sticking around for an extra question there. You can find his work, Real Clear Politics, realclearinvestigations.com. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me, James.
This is Matt in Grapevine. You're on WBAP. Go.
Hey, James. Hey, how does this compare to like using the Waze app or the Google Maps
app? Let's catch everybody up. The Ice Block app. You're talking about the Ice Block app that people are using to alert illegals of ICE agent activity.
Correct. And so anyway, you're alerting people of that, of ICE officers. And with the other one, you're alerting people of setting speed traps.
So the Waze app isn't specifically to upend law enforcement activity. There's all kinds of other things that are going on in the app. So you can't say the app's sole intent is to thwart law enforcement. It also lets you know when there's a traffic jam, or it also lets you know when there's a hazard in the road, like a busted tire or a dead dog or something. It lets you know like where the next place to go to the bathroom, or next place to go eat, or where your friends are on the map, or the estimated time of arrival. So the intent of the app isn't solely to thwart law enforcement. Now, if it kind of happens to do that accidentally as part of its other duties, then I think that's what makes it different than the Ice Block app. The Ice Block app doesn't do anything else other than intentionally try and help people escape capture by ICE. The guy who made the app, owns it, runs it, programmed it, even said so in interviews. Yeah, this is to help people escape from ICE raids.
I'm an Android nerd, so I'm not able to download the app and spoof locations and set anything up, or that's something I would do.
I love you people. Man, that's worth getting an iPhone, Matt. Maybe you should look into that. They don't have an Android version of that?
No, they don't.
You figure that'd be an Android-centric the process there. Well, thank you very much for your question, Matt and Grapevine. I hope that helps.
Sure, have a good one.
Brian, Fort Worth, you're on WBAP. Go.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the caller from earlier. It is, the Ice Block app is free speech, but to me, it's the equivalent, and this is where I'm in agreement with you, it's the equivalent of yelling fire in a theater. You don't do that. So,
well, you do if there's a fire.
You just run up and pull the fire alarm. You can't yell fire in a theater.
Well, actually, so this is a valid discussion. You can yell fire in a crowded theater if there's literally a fire. Then you're actually helping people escape death. You can, if you see a bunch of smoke and you, with good intentions, think that there may for real be a fire, you're just incorrect. So I think that's within the bounds of free speech and the law. But if you're saying it with malicious intent to create a riot, to create harm, or indifferent and reckless to public harm, that's when you can't yell fire in a public in a crowded theater.
Is like, yeah, it's free speech. You want to yell
so because of
for fun, whatever, that's fine. But for you to go and block police and things like that, that's crazy. You're going to go to jail. So
yeah, and that's,
you want to do something stupid, do it.
That's what I think it boils down to. Just like the fire in a crowded theater, the intent means everything when you cross the line of what's free speech and what isn't. If you go out there and if you either maliciously or recklessly yell fire in a crowded theater and people get hurt because of it, that is not protected by free speech. If you're doing it with positive intent to help people or to save people, or because you think that you're doing good, then it is protected by the First Amendment. So I think that applies well to the Ice Block app, and it kind of makes me lean toward if your intent is to help people escape, criminals escape ICE capture, then I don't think that is protected by the First Amendment.
Yeah, I agree with you wholly on that.
Well, that's fantastic. You know what, Brian? Stick around, because next I'm going to have an immigration attorney come on. No, not Kate. I get a lot of emails when Kate comes on. This is Susha Modi. I'll ask him about it coming up next. An immigration attorney. We'll see what he thinks about the Ice Block app in about 4 minutes on The James Show. What do you think about it? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM.
Hi, everyone. It's Brian Kilmeade from KLIF and Fox and Friends, Fox News Channel. And I'll see you in Dallas-Fort Worth, Saturday, August 23rd at the Winspear Opera House at AT&T's Performing Arts Center. Yep, that big building in Dallas for my History, Liberty, and Laughs tour. It's going to be a night of fun, inspirational, motivational, and yes, you will be laughing. Listen to win your tickets right here at WBAP or order them today at briankilmeade.com/tour.
Hey, homeowners, James Parker here for Blue Ribbon Roofing. Blue Ribbon Roofing covers your roof. You know they're going to give you a good roof. You know they're going to give you a good price. You know you can trust them. I know what you're really worried about in calling Blue Ribbon Roofing, or calling any roofer for that matter. You're worried if you're going to be able to afford the new roof. You're going to worry, is my insurance company going to give me a hard time? Are they going to short sheet the bed? Are they only going to give me $25,000 and I need $120,000 for a new roof? And that's what you're worried about. Maybe you're worried about the insurance company will help you out, but you don't know if you can cover the deductible. Listen, do not let these obstacles let you neglect your roof. If you neglect your roof, and you do have a problem with it, this is one of the situations where it can explode exponentially. And you get water coming through and it gets in your drywall, it gets in your insulation. You could have black mold problems. You could have electrical problems. Look, getting the roof fixed, whatever negative comes with it, is far better than letting your roof go unfixed, or at least uninspected. Hey, maybe if you're not sure, just call Blue Ribbon Roofing, have them come out and do the inspection and make sure it's okay, because that doesn't cost anything. How do I know? I did it myself. So go to blueribbondfw.com. If you do need a roof, they'll help you with the insurance claim. They'll give you a free ridge ventilation upgrade if you mention the James Show. And they'll help you through every step of the process. It's easier than you think. It's easier to pay for than you think if you get the right company. Go to blueribbondfw.com, blueribbondfw.com. Look, if you don't have time to call, you can do what a lot of people do and just find me on Facebook or Twitter/X or Instagram or whatever the social media is, YouTube. You can come to the live stream of the video version of this show and leave me comments there. I love hearing from you, but if you want to call in, 800-288-9227, because the big question is this ICE Block app that's happening and thwarting ICE raids now here in North Texas. Is that legal protected speech? Let's ask my next guest. He's been on a few times. Susha Modi's back on, and I'm really looking forward to his opinion on this because he's an immigration attorney. And what's your take on that? Are you familiar with the ICE Block app, Susha?
Hey, James. Thanks for having me back on. I'm actually not familiar with this issue. I thought we were actually going to be talking about the new ICE bond policy, where they're not releasing individuals from detention.
Yeah, well, we'll do that next, or I guess we'll do that now if you're not familiar with the app. I want to look into that, and let's do that on a future show because I'd be interested to hear the point of view of an immigration attorney on that ICE Block app. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the meat of what we actually scheduled here. Thanks for reading our notes to them, Susha. We want this to sound like it's just all spur of the moment. But yeah, tell me about this story of the undocumented immigrants, illegal immigrants, ineligible for bond hearings.
Yeah. And just to clarify for the audience, I don't know anything except for the topic when I jump on. So, but, honored to be back here again. So this is a radical shift in policy. So basically, for decades, whenever individuals come in the U.S., and then let's say they've been here for a while, and then they eventually get picked up, like they've been here, they have U.S. citizen children, kids and whatnot. Usually they have the right to apply for bond, depending on their circumstances. Now, bond is a way to get out of immigration jail, but still be placed in deportation proceedings. So, the individual's not out of deportation or immigration court. They're still in those proceedings. They're just not held in immigration jail while the court case goes onward. And that's historically what's happened. With the bond hearing, which is normally in front of a judge, the judge looks at if the person has criminal history or is a flight risk. In fact, James, the judge also looks at so closely at criminal history that there is a whole section called INA 236C for mandatory detention. So if they have certain serious crimes, they can't get released from immigration bond already. So the new policy, with that historical stance, the new policy is that ICE is basically saying under the same scenario, almost none of those people would be eligible to even apply for bond. Now, ICE is Immigration Customs Enforcement. They're not the judge, but they're the government, attorneys on the other side arguing against the bond. But this is a radical shift because we don't know what law they're citing for it because this is so extreme. It's never been argued before. I mean, the typical way is to apply for bond.
So I imagine there's going to be some lawsuits flying about this new policy?
Yes, sir. So I think there are already bonds that immigration judges have still issued because they think they have the power to do it. And I think there are going to be lawsuits, and I think it's going to go up the chain of the court system. So the way the immigration court system is set up is it's going to go with immigration courts first, then something called the Board of Immigration Appeals, which oddly enough still is under the umbrella of the Department of Justice. But then after the Board of Immigration Appeals, it goes to circuit courts, and then eventually it could go to the Supreme Court.
Well, again, here's another segment of the show just today where I wish I had a law degree here, because I can kind of see both sides of the argument here. There's bond for a reason, and if we have to let some guilty people get a little bit more freedom in order to let an innocent person escape jail, I can see how that would be a positive thing. But on the other hand, if you are going to be releasing these people out on bond, what's their incentive to go back to court if they know they're just going to get deported? So, I mean, how do you explain this to a layman like myself on which one weighs heavier?
On the latter part of your question, if they don't show up to court, immigration court's really strict. It's not like family court. So if they don't show up to court, they'll get ordered removed in what's called an in absentia order of removal. So super strict circumstances can occur, consequences, can occur if they don't show up to court. So they have a huge incentive to show up in that sense to court. Also, there's other alternative means that are less costly to the taxpayer too, like ankle bracelets and other ways that they could be released, alternative detention methods. I think there's been rough estimates of like over $200 a day that the taxpayers are going to be paying while somebody's in court. The third thing I would say is they look at the judges look at criminal history and actually flight risk, James. So those are actually two of the main criteria a judge is supposed to look at before they issue a bond, as the situation is now, and during that bond hearing. And so, and the last thing I would say in terms of a policy consideration, I think you're going to start to see, because as it goes through the court system, there could be a delay, but I think you're going to start to see a whole lot more backlogs with immigration judges and less due process. The issue is there's a Supreme Court case, James, called Zodvitas. And in that Supreme Court, they basically said, hey, we can't indefinitely detain people in the U.S. That's unconstitutional. So a judge basically needs to do the full trial. I mean, that's a lot of work, like several master hearings and a full trial in less than 6 months if they're detained in less than 6 months.
Right.
Or that new big, beautiful bill, it didn't give that much funding to judges, immigration judges. So if you were going to detain everybody and then they have to have a trial in less than 6 months, I think that's going to be incredibly difficult for judges to do.
All right, Susha Modi, he's a local immigration attorney. You may need to get help of an immigration attorney if you get in one of these hearings. Thank you very much for your insight on this. I look forward to the Ice Block discussion with you soon, Susha.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on again.
The Epstein story has turned into something weird, hasn't it? Isn't this the strangest thing? How both sides have seemed to have done a weird little flip-flop. And we all saw this happen right in front of our faces. And what the heck is going on? You have people who've been salivating for the Epstein list for the last, I don't know, however long he's been in jail. Now they don't seem interested in it. From Donald Trump, and I have some sound bites going all the way down the blogosphere. Seems like a chunk of MAGA has just instantly lost interest. For no other explanation than, well, we're told there's not a list, so I guess there's nothing to see here. Let's move on. Oh, this is so boring. Is it? I don't think this is boring at all. And then on the other side, MSNBC has been talking about the Epstein list on the TV here in the WBAP studio for about half of the total time that they've been on the air since the James Show started, when they used to ignore it. It's the weirdest thing. Let me give you like some real stark, quick examples here. First, Donald Trump says the Epstein story is boring. Really?
Mr. President, I know you've urged people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled?
I don't understand it. Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is. I really don't. And the credible information's been given. Don't forget, we went through years of the Mueller witch hunt and all of the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake. All that information was fake. But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say let them have it.
Yeah, and so I'm very interested in those last two sentences. If there's anything credible, let's release it. Anything credible, let them have it. If it's so boring, then release it. If it really is, it's just boring, there's nothing here, then release it. Then what are you worried about? If there is no Epstein list, if there is no clients, then release the files. We'll see for ourselves. We'll move on. But if this story is anything, it's certainly not boring. I don't understand why people are interested. Yeah, you do. I think you do, President Trump. You just want us to move on, and I don't know why. I think we might find the explanation out one day. But how about no one's interested in this? I'll tell you who's interested in this. How about some of the girls that were raped? How about some of them that were raped when they were underage? How about some of the families of the girls who are already dead? Yeah, I think there's a lot of people. And why would the rest of us be interested in it? Oh, I don't know. Maybe some guys or some elite, some powerful, connected people are getting away with raping children. It's just a matter of justice. We have information in files that could take people who've done some of the most horrific crimes possible in humanity and put them behind bars where they deserve. It's just a matter of justice. I'm interested in, especially when it's as easy as this. Go ask Ghislaine Maxwell. Who was there? No one cares? So that's a weird flip-flop, but it's even more stark than that. So there was the TPUSA conference in Tampa over the weekend, Turning Point USA. That's Charlie Kirk's outfit. I'm a fan of Charlie Kirk. He makes some great videos. Here's him on stage with Megyn Kelly just this weekend on Saturday. And they polled the crowd. Who's interested in the Epstein file?
Let me just ask you, make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Raise your hand if it matters a lot to you. Raise your hand. So every hand of 7,000 people.
Everybody cares.
Oh, now here's Charlie Kirk yesterday saying he's done with this story. 3 days later. Come on, computer, you can do it. I'm watching the little spinny circle of death over here. All right, is someone hacking the Google computers? Is someone hitting me with the Ice Block app? All right, fine. Maybe I'll play it on this other machine. I have backups, y'all. So this is the stark turnaround that should make anybody suspicious. You just heard him say how concerned he was with this story, and then he's going to turn around and pretty much 2-3 days later say the opposite. That doesn't sit well with me. I don't just buy that and say, oh, okay, well, I guess we're done with this story if Charlie Kirk said it. So here it is on the stupid backup computer. Let me get this up. Because this is crazy town. Would you believe anybody that just flip-flopped this bad in 3 days?
Plenty was said this last weekend at our event about Epstein. Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. But let me just say this again. Everyone knows my opinion about the Epstein thing.
Yeah. So he's done with it. That's weird, y'all. And so those are a couple examples from the right side of the political spectrum, but it doesn't stop there. How about our friend from The View, Sonny Hostin? When it was 2014, I have two clips that I put together here back to back. Actually, I think Newsbusters did, so good for them. But one is from 2014, about this time last year. She had no real interest in the Epstein file. Hey, who cares? It's a bunch of people. We don't know, whatever. And then you're going to hear, I put a Air Biscuit sound in there just to delineate when the clip from this week starts. And she sounds so different from 2024 to 2025 that it also makes you scratch your head, because this is a lefty saying it. We have Team Red and Team Blue. Not everyone, not even the majority, but the fact that you're having this weird flip-flop on this big story from both sides, something's going on here.
People were dying for this information. There was some sort of list that everybody thought was going to come out, and who's on the list. What's important for us to note is we shouldn't be repeating names that are on the list, because just because your name has not on the list, but in the documents, just because your name is on the documents doesn't mean that you have done anything criminally irresponsible or illegal or civilly irresponsible.
Or that you were a client.
Or that you were a client. These documents, as I read them, only reflect Epstein's sexual assaults of women and his sexual behavior. So I think that...
And Ghislaine also?
And Ghislaine. And so being named in this suit does not equate to being accused of wrongdoing. And I think that is extremely important, because conspiracy theorists seem to not understand or enjoy facts.
Yes.
These are the facts. There is a list. Trump's name is on the logs, the passenger logs of Epstein's aircraft at least 7 times. That's already been made public. I mean, of course, Trump is denying any and all allegations, but all of that information is out there. Why not just put it to rest and say, release the list?
What the heck is going on? I'm somewhat optimistic. I'm about 51, maybe 60% sure that on a long enough time scale, we will see the Epstein list. I have a couple of caveats, if you don't mind me throwing it in there, though, because I can't predict the future, but I have seen a lot of the past. And here's what I think. I think if you're young enough, eventually at some point you'll see it. We're not going to see it anytime soon. I think it's been well established that the establishments of both major political parties don't want to see the light of day. Now, the Democrats are pretending like they want it to be released now. They have these measures that they're introducing in the House, release all the Epstein files, and it gets voted down. And that's a crock, considering they just had run of the roost. They didn't propose any of these bills or these questions in Congress when Biden was in power. Actually, since the guy's been arrested, you're just doing it now that you found out Team Red's not on board. So that's an obvious head fake. It's not believable for 1 second. It's just political posturing. Pretty dishonest, but sort of par for the course for what you see in D.C. So no, I don't think we'll see it anytime soon. I think what we might see sometime soon is another air quotes release of the Epstein files that's got redactions in it, or it's wildly incomplete, and it's not going to accomplish what we want to accomplish. And I know what you want to accomplish. It's the same thing I want to happen. Whoever raped children, how about you go to jail? How about you go to prison for the rest of your life? You evil demons. And I don't know. I don't really have the envy gene, so it doesn't matter to me that they're powerful elites and they're getting away with it. I think it's just as important if it was just some broke vagrant over here by the DART station. If he was raping kids, he should go to jail just as fast. But for some people, that's a big deal. We've got to take down the powerful. Well, shut up. How about we just take down the kid rapist? But I think on a long enough time scale, maybe in 20 years, maybe after everyone who could be hurt by this list is dead, it'll be released. And the only reason I'm not 100% on that prediction is the JFK files. Everyone who could be in trouble or, implicated in some wrongdoing or questionable activities concerning the JFK assassination, they're all dead. And we still don't have the full list. We still don't have all of the government files on it. What's the explanation for that? I don't know. Here's my guess, and it may be the same guess for Epstein. One reason the government might want to hide it now is because the government would be implicated in this. The government was involved in this. The government, had a second shooter on the grassy knoll. I don't know the specifics, but that's the scenario that makes the most sense. That's the explanation that, even though it doesn't rest well with me, I think is the most likely probable scenario. Maybe the CIA did keep tabs on Lee Harvey Oswald, and they waited for him to go shoot, and they set up their own guy to make sure it happened. Well, maybe Epstein was blackmailing people, and he was set up by the CIA, and they let him get away with all these crimes specifically so they could get all these powerful people in compromising positions. Now, if that's the case, then you don't want it to come out, whether it's the JFK files or the Epstein files, because the CIA will be exposed as a pretty evil organization. The CIA killed your president. That's the scenario. That's the theory. That's the possibility, which would also mean the CIA was running a child rape ring in order to gain leverage over powerful people and use that leverage and be more powerful themselves. The CIA, and I'm not saying this is true, I'm just saying this could be the scenario by which we never see the full Epstein list, is the CIA's in on it, or some, Mossad or someone else. I don't know, but I think maybe 20 years, maybe 30 years, maybe 40 years from now, we'll see the Epstein list when it's way too late. And that doesn't rest well with me, because then no one's going to be punished for raping the kids. 800-288-9227. Let's go to the phones here. David. Oh, no, you're right. We do have to take a break. All right, well, we have some good calls on the Epstein list coming up. You guys on hold, stay there. I'll start with you coming up next. Do you think we'll ever see the Epstein list? 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM. WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.